Hello, everyone. This is Cami.
And this is Steph. This is the War Dolls podcast.
On today's episode, we discuss latest announcements from Atomic Mass Games, the Star Wars Legion rules update, and the pain of building B1 Battle Droids with our special guest, Faith, aka SlaaneshGirl, as well as our normal interrogation type questions. So we're just going to hop right into it.
Faith, thank you so much for joining us.
And thank you very much for having me.
You were recently building some B1 Battle Droids I saw on your Instagram page. Can you talk to us a little bit about how difficult those really are to build?
Yes, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Necromunda.
Oh, yes.
But of course, yeah, Necromunda, the Goliath gang, for the re-release had what I still consider to be the most stupid, fiddly, annoying model piece ever, which is a cigar it's a cigar stub. It's not even a full cigar. It's a cigar stub that goes in one of the guy's mouths. And you're talking a 30 millimeter tall figure. So
right.
this thing is not, I would say, 1.5 millimeters. Tiny fleck of gray plastic. And so I've compared the B1s to this Necromunda cigar, which the B1s are they're very small. There's a lot of pieces that are very small and don't really have connection points. So the arms, for instance, they don't really, nothing locks in place. You have to hold everything in place. It's got that annoying thing that too many kits have where, the one hand holds the gun and there's the hand on the gun, and then you have to fit in the extra arm.
Yes.
Which I always hate. And it seems to be in every kit, in every line, in every range. So the B1s are very fiddly, and the hard plastic that they do, the second wave of Star Wars Legion stuff that was in that kind of hard plastic is a different hard plastic than what GW Games Workshop uses. Because Games Workshop, you glue it, it stays glued. Whatever plastic that Atomic Mass Games was using for the second wave of Legion, does not want to glue. It just doesn't want to stay glued.
What glue are you using? Are you using plastic glue or
the plastic glue cement? Yeah, the stuff that melts, the plastic weld that melts. Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't know that pain because I haven't used plastic glue in 20 years.
Oh, really? What do you use?
I use Gorilla Glue Super Glue Gel. The gel is the important part.
Yes.
I have a lot of opinions about plastic glue.
Okay.
And
you could do a whole glue episode.
I could. I absolutely could. I am the priestess of the Church of Super Glue.
Do you know who invented super glue?
No.
A guy named Dr. Joyner. That's true. Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect.
No, I have to avoid super glue because I have an allergy to methyl 3 cyanocrylate.
Really?
Which is what it's made of. Yeah. And it causes me just the most horrible respiratory symptoms.
Oh,
so when I do use it, I have to put a vapor mask on, like a full gas mask, and use gloves and all kinds of stuff.
Wow. I am so sorry. Because I really hate plastic glue. Of course, I have. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I always use the it's the Loctite brand of the gel super glue, so it's very similar to the Gorilla Glue gel, specifically the gel. That's the only brand I buy is the Loctite.
Well, yeah, that I did buy plastic glue for the EV medical droid. I broke a streak of 20 plus years, but that thing, I have assembled worse minis than B1s. I've been around a while. For the longest time, the worst model was the title was held by the original keeper of cattle, the metal uh, keeper of secrets.
Mm-hmm.
He had 4 arms, and you had to glue them all together at the same time. And I
Oh my
seemed
gosh.
to be a little short on hands. Um, and of course, it was metal, so you had to use super glue. I didn't know about pinning at the time, and it was the worst thing I had ever tried to do. It took forever, um, and it was a nightmare. Um, and then I met actually the Zote from Blackstone Fortress. As excited as I was to see a Zote come back to the range and that game, I love that game. There was a bunch of pins where the two sides met, and
Mm-hmm.
they did not line up.
Oh gosh.
And when you finally did get them lined up, you had a gap.
Ugh.
So I went in, I just had to take it all apart and cut all the pins and just line it up by hand. It was awful. And then I met the EV medical droid, and I almost quit miniatures altogether.
Oh my gosh.
It's awful. And when you get there, you will find out. So anyway, I'm so sorry. We digress. So they are the B1s are difficult, and I will admit that.
Mm.
So obviously you're playing Legion, or at least you're painting Legion.
I play.
Um,
I enjoy playing and painting.
Fantastic. So what do you think about these air quote new rules?
I honestly think the new rules are fine. I don't play competitively. I've literally, I think, only played maybe 5 games of Legion with another person and a
Hmm.
couple by myself.
Okay.
Um, so I can't really say like I'm not a competitive player. I'm not studying this stuff. I'm not trying to build the most meta list or anything like that. So to me, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
That's
I thought the
respectable.
Yeah.
I did like the cover. I liked the original way the cover rules worked, which I thought was much simpler.
Well,
Um,
yeah, they were definitely simpler,
yeah,
but
that was one of the things I loved about it. Over 40K,
mhm.
which I love 40K miniatures. They're I think the best on the planet. But the rules are horrendous. The rules of the game are horrendous. So I was a little bit when the new rules were announced. I was a little like, oh god, are we gonna get a? Is this turning into Warhammer where the rules change every 6 months?
Right.
Yeah.
And they did express at one point um, that they had no plans to ever do that, or at least I was told that somewhere. Um, so I have faith in that they're not going to do that. But of course, any game that doesn't evolve and change and learn from mistakes is a, a game that's not going anywhere. So I appreciate
Mhm.
advancements and improvements, and I always look at them in a sense of can they add to this? Is there something that they're planning? So I like to think that there's some future proofing that goes in there. But as far as the cover rules, I mean the other ones were simple, but I like all those extra dice, especially for B1s and rebels that have those sad little white saves.
Yeah. They're not. I although other the new list I'm putting together, I kind of want to just spam B1s.
That would be amazing. I've
Just
seen I've seen
yeah,
that done.
yeah. Just with the idea of like even the best characters, like how many can they kill?
Right,
Just
right.
Yeah.
Did
just
did you
field so many that they can't even kill them all.
did you bring enough
Yeah.
batteries? for your
Yeah.
blasters. So yeah.
Me and my husband had a list that had so many B1s in it a couple years ago, when we played the Legion doubles at Adepticon. We did a whole Naboo battle scene with nothing but B1s, and then we splashed in a few droidicas and stap riders and stuff. But we had at least 6 or 7 squads of B1s on that battlefield, and I remember him trying to build those things, and he was having me help hold the arms together while he glued, and I can understand your pain, and I'm putting all of those models on the table and be like, okay, how many of these guys can you kill is just so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it works really well with the movement system in Legion. Like I played 40K where you have to measure every model out, or you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And then Legion's just like measure one guy and then surround him with the
Pile them all
rest.
around. Yeah, just
Yes,
yeah.
pile them
I
all around
love
it.
it.
Me too.
Anyway,
Mhm.
so you don't do competitive play, but do you go to like big conventions and pick up games there or watch or do anything like that?
I was so sad that Adepticon moved to Milwaukee because I have family in Chicago. So
Oh,
Oh.
it was the easiest thing for me to go to Adepticon, which I've only been once, actually. Um, I'm in New York. New York, strangely, doesn't have like any conventions. It's the weirdest thing. I think it's too
Yeah.
expensive. Uh,
probably.
and so there is a Philly that I thought about going to Philly, um, but I just go. I went to Adepticon a couple years ago just to kind of like go around and look around and see what was going on. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even bring any armies or anything. Um, Spent way too much money on
As you do.
a massive
Yeah,
haul of
that's
stuff. Yes,
that's
but
normal.
mhm. I had a great time. I would love to go again. Potentially even in Milwaukee. But uh, as far as playing competitively, I'm not that good. I would lose like first round. I'd be out like within an hour.
Don't sell yourself short. Sometimes it's those off meta lists that throw the big game players.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Every
I
Legion game I play, I always screw like one massive thing up,
well,
and then that just sort of tanks me.
there's the thing. I believe that a competent player uh, who gets the repetitions in, who learns their list inside and out, and they know what it can and cannot do, will do a lot better than someone who is chasing the meta, who just
Yeah.
grabs a list, puts it together, plays it 3 times, and shows up for a big tournament, expecting it to play itself. That doesn't work in Legion, and I love that. It's as much about how you build your command deck. It's a whole lot goes into your missions. People say the missions all look the same, but they don't. There's a lot of subtlety there if you know what to look for. So the more you play your list, the better you're going to be.
Mhm.
And I really think,
Mm-hmm.
and one of our girls, Lila, showed that off a couple of Adepticons ago.
Yep.
She took a list that, at the time, everybody said was no good, was too expensive, was priced wrong, and she stomped her way to second place.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
The people's champ.
the people's champ.
So, I want to talk a little bit about the Atomic Mass Games announcements that came out this week. The first one is that they're going to be doing affiliation packs for the Guardians of the Galaxy finally for Marvel Crisis Protocol, which I'm super excited about because Guardians are one affiliation that I've really been excited to get into. Faith, have you dabbled in Marvel Crisis Protocol at all?
I've never played. I did pick up a couple of the minis to paint
Okay.
just because I thought they looked cool.
Yeah, they have some really cool sculpts for that game. I'm really big into Marvel Crisis Protocol. Oh, I've been into it for a couple years now. I play at a lot of our local game store events, and so I'm really excited that they're finally doing affiliation packs for the Guardians. Like I said, that's going to be my next affiliation once we get done with Adepticon. I'm going to start painting up that squad. Um, and then Adepticon and Atomic Mass Games just announced that they are going to do a convention exclusive for Shatterpoint called I Am No Jedi. It's a deluxe dual pack with, I believe, Vader and Ahsoka
I
that you
saw
can
that.
purchase at Adepticon just for those few days. So that's super exciting. Are you into Shatterpoint at all, Faith?
Again, I've never played, but I have a bunch of the models.
Okay. I saw on your Instagram that you were painting up some Shatterpoint, so I thought I'd throw that in there. And
Yeah.
I've never played Shatterpoint myself. It looks like a great game. It's very, very similar to Marvel Crisis Protocol, where you play on a 3x3 map. But we have not gotten into that yet. We have so many Star Wars games that I'm just like, I don't know if I can buy into yet another one, especially since we're so deep into MCP. We kind of just want to focus on that. But I think it's really cool that they're doing a convention exclusive.
Yeah, those are always really pretty. I
Mm-hmm.
think they normally do them at Gen Con though, don't they?
I I believe they're also releasing the same exclusive, the I Am No Jedi Deluxe Dual Pack. I think they're also releasing it at Gen Con. So you you might be able to pick it up at both conventions.
So we have an announcement from our friends over at the Dice Girls podcast. One of the girls, Kim, is retiring from their podcast, which is sad. We're sad to see her go, but you know, she has her reasons and they're valid. But also, the girls are announcing a new D&D campaign podcast, which we are very eagerly looking for, and we love the Dice Girls, and we hope they do well. So, and of course, we being the War Dolls, and we are the Girl Gamer Network, and we like to promote and share and just have a space for all kinds of girls with all kinds of different geeky hobbies to get together and be able to just have a space of our own. So, if you are interested in joining up, have a look on the internet. We are the War Dolls in most of the places, Blue Sky and Instagram and the YouTube, which you may be hearing us there right now. And I believe we're still on the Facebook as the War
Yep.
Dolls. So give us a look, and if you're interested, let us know. Reach out. So, Faith, what, unless it is Star Wars Legion, what kind of hobby or game has you like frothing at the mouth about right now?
I mean, I'm enjoying painting up Star Wars Legion right now. I I played my first game. Again, I will get into this, but I
Sure.
played my first game with droids, CIS. And I really liked it. I have Empire, I have Rebels, but I also have the CIS because I love the droid, mostly the battle droids. But the I really liked the kind of synergy of it. I really liked how the my droidicas were invincible, and
Oh
um,
gosh, I remember those early days.
yeah. I mean, I was my last game. I was playing against Republic because everyone plays Republic, but it was just I had a guy frustrated trying to kill so many of my units and just not being able to. Um,
Good.
yeah, I ended up losing anyway because I lost some of my heroes early on, but it was just certain unit like Droidicas and B2s just could not get killed, and it was great. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's kind of what I'm focusing on right now. I love lots of other board games and things like that, but Legion is the one I'm enjoying the most right
Yeah,
now.
I've loved your diorama style pictures. I don't
I
know
need
if
to
those
do
are.
more.
I'm looking forward to them. I didn't know if those were like from a game or you're just doing dioramas, but
I set up. This was over Christmas because I had kind of a few days off for Christmas. I set up two big tables. I built a giant town. I painted a bunch of terrain. Made a bunch of buildings. Got some ships and things. And I was going to do. I actually have filmed it. A battle report, but I was kind of unhappy with the footage. It was very shaky.
oh,
I thought people are gonna need
hey,
Dramamine to watch this
oh
because
gosh, it happens.
yeah. So I actually have a camera mount or things or something next time and actually film a real a real kind of narrative game.
That'd be
So that'll
awesome.
be that'll be the next time. And I do want to set up some more photos. I love taking photos with my minis.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely let us know when you get that done. And
Mhm.
just a quick follow up. What's your favorite board game?
My favorite board game, gosh, of all, I mean, Catan of all time, Settlers of Catan.
Okay.
I also really enjoyed Zombicide. Yeah, it's the closest to a war game I can get my partner to play, and I keep
Zombicide
saying,
is, yeah, very popular. I've heard so much about it, but I've missed so many Kickstarter exclusive minis that I've kind of talked myself into doing Zombicide.
yeah, it's very fun and quick and easy, and I literally keep telling my partner, I'm like, just play Star Wars Legion with me once. It's just Zombicide, but with actual tabletop models and no actual space. You don't move spaces. You move, across the board without space. But it's basically the same. But so it's fun.
Faith, how did you get into painting miniatures and what is your favorite aspect of the hobby?
Yeah. So this is a weird one, but when I was growing up, my dad was very into historical gaming.
Okay.
Um, and he used to drag me and my sister to the big conventions,
Oh, that's
and
so
there'd always
cool.
be like a million kids running around, with not as much interest in the American Civil War, or whatever
Right.
that the adults were playing. But the funny thing was is that one of them, I met these kids. This I was probably 12, 13. This was probably about 1992 or 3, and some kids were playing Space Hulk, and I thought it was
Mm.
like the coolest game I had ever seen. And this was probably just about like second edition Warhammer kind of came out just about this time, and because it was just kind of creeping into the historical conventions, or this was like a convention called like Cold Wars, um, and so it was like all the kids were playing Warhammer, the second edition War, and even some adults too, and I kind of definitely gravitated to that. I thought it was super cool. Um, and I look back on all of those like those early '90s minis, as terrible as they look compared to stuff today. Like I will the charm of them will never leave me. I just love those like old '90s Warhammer bits.
Some
Um,
of them are just fantastic.
Bought a
I
bunch at Adepticon when I went.
Oh, did you? That's
From like the
great.
used bins, yeah, and
Yeah.
the cheap shit no one wanted, cheap stuff no one wanted, because everyone's like looking for the new meta stuff, and I'm like, nah, this is some weird old thing. My favorite aspect of the hobby is painting, and kit bashing. building terrain, things like this. And we talked about Star Wars. Um, when I was also little, we had we had a VHS set of the original Star Wars trilogy, and one of the VHS tapes that came with like a fourth VHS tape, and it was a documentary called "From Star Wars to Jedi," and it was the making of, and it was probably like 30 minutes long. It was just one of those like
Hmm.
TV special type things, but it got into all the model making, and so I really wanted to be a model builder
Yeah.
for movies when I was a kid. And so I would, even when I was little, I was building lots of models, taking pictures of them with our big video camera, filming stuff, getting into like forced perspective and things like that when I was really little. So to me, like the terrain building and the painting, and that's always been the hugest part. The fact that you can play with your toys with rules and with
Yes.
other people is like always been kind of a fun cherry on top.
Yes. Yes. That
That's
that's
so
great.
cool.
Yeah. So, since you've gotten into it and you've dug deeper and you've made it a hobby, um, have you ever experienced any gatekeeping, especially because you're a woman?
It's the funniest thing, but no.
Wow.
I know,
Okay.
right? This isn't the answer you'd think. Um,
Right.
I got into, so when I was little, up until maybe like I want to say 92, 93, 94. I had a bunch of Warhammer stuff. I wish I still had it. I had the original Land Raider. Um, but I had a bunch of that stuff, and I got out of it until COVID. And COVID, I, like everyone else on the planet, went, it'd be fun. I'll get back into Warhammer. I'll buy a I'll buy a start collecting kit. And I bought a start collecting kit of AdMech because I thought they looked the coolest. And got hooked like everyone else. It's the story, COVID. And
Hmm.
I found the community so welcoming. Compared to like other hobbies that I've, gotten into, biking.
Hmm.
Do you know how fucking awful? I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this, but do you know how
Oh
terribly
yeah.
awful bikes? I found that to be like the most gatekeepy. I found running to be gatekeepy.
Really?
I found, yeah, but
Okay.
somehow 40K. And it may have been that it was 2020 and everyone was kind of like, you know, solidarity. We're all in this struggle together. But I found the community to be so welcoming
Well,
and
good.
so
It's
nice. Yeah.
That's
it's good to
great.
hear stories like that.
And the same with the stores. And this also might be Brooklyn or, New York City, but every hobby store I go to has like a gay flag. My friendly local gaming store has queer gaming nights and queer magic night and things like that. So
That's
All
it
right.
may be
amazing.
that it may be that that's what I'm experiencing,
Well, maybe I'll have to talk to our store and, see about throwing the flag out front, on weekends sometimes. That's really great. I love to hear stories like that. We need more of it.
For sure. For sure. What advice do you have for future Wardalls or any girl looking to get into this or any hobby?
I think the most important thing is to have fun. Um, I would say, they're your toys. Paint them the way you want. Um, don't chase the meta. Just do what looks cool. Do what you think is cool. Have fun with it, and play with people who are also having fun with it. And I think that's the biggest advice I would offer is just have fun with it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
get creative. This is a creative it's such a creative hobby. And I think as much the gaming aspect of it can become very competitive, but I think so many people are just doing weird creative stuff, and that's great. It's a fun way to express yourself.
I do love
Mm.
that, and I do kind of wish that, and maybe it's just me. I wish Legion had a little more flexibility in where you can do more conversions. Again, like I said, maybe it's just me. Um, when I sold off my Eldar years ago, I was taking pictures of all of them, and as I put them on the table and I was taking pictures, I was like, "Holy cow! What kind of work did I pour into these?" Some of them, I had one that I called my action figure. He had magnetic arms
Mm-hmm.
and head and torso. Um, because the Dire Avenger box came with, what was it, 11 torsos, but 10 legs.
Yeah.
And if I ever wanted to split it into two squads or something, I needed that extra. I forget, there was a math problem there, and I solved it by making one of them super magnetic, where I could turn it from a normal guy into an Exarch. And
Oh,
I
okay.
and so and I think that's what it was. Is I swapped the head and the torso out. But then once I got there, I just went magnet crazy. I had head swaps everywhere, had arm swaps everywhere, and then just all the chopping and painting and attempts at green stuff. It got wild,
Yeah,
and I've got no.
I love kit bashing. To me,
I do
so
too, but
it's so fun to have a unique army.
it really is. Sadly, I've gotten away from it with Legion, but I am churning out models so fast, that I'm kind of not sad about it.
It's
Like I have never with 40K, I had a backlog. I still have a backlog. Stuff I've not been able to
yeah.
sell that's not painted, that just has been sitting there for ages.
I
But with Legion, I get something new and it's painted and out, back on the
Yeah,
table.
I feel the same way, and I think I do. A part of me wishes there was something, the way that you can get that kind of like the hero mini in Warhammer, um, where you can just have an amazing sculpt with so much detail, and you can spend 2 months painting it, and it'll look amazing. And it has so many pieces that you can kit bash and make really unique. Versus, gosh, I've painted so many stormtroopers, and I've got the armor down.
Right.
I got the look down really well. But sometimes when I look at the Legion stuff, I wish there were I wish there was like a hero type figure or something like that. And even in Star Wars, so much of it, one of my problems with Legion, basically my only problem with Legion, is that it's the monochromatic kind of. A lot of my B1s look the same, a lot of my stormtroopers look the same.
Yeah.
I did go a little crazier on the Rebels, so that's. But yeah, some sort of like the ability to get maybe a little more creative with it.
Well, I got accidentally creative with my B1s, and you're welcome to steal the idea. I was painting them like long ago. I ran an undead army when the book was just called Undead, and I figured a way to overbrush them, and paint them really fast. And I told myself if I ever did B1s, I was going to do them the same way. And when I realized that they were probably going to make a Ventress at some point, I started collecting CIS because I
Mhm.
love Ventress. And sure enough, they did. Thank you very much, AMG. But in painting these B1s, I just overbrushed them with tan and just churned them out really fast. And I missed some spots. So I went back, and instead of just matching those arms and legs and heads that I missed, I painted them a rusty red. So I call them my junkyard
Oh,
bots.
that's fun. That's
So it
That
yeah, so it looks like they have spare parts, and I'm
that's
pretty happy
awesome.
with it, and it keeps them unique. So, what kind of things motivate you to paint, or if you need to get painted, is there anything that puts you in, like if you need to paint, what do you do to get in the groove?
Gosh, I wish I knew what motivated me because I would do it more. Uh, I I think for me, what really motivates me is something like the big tabletop that we talked about earlier. Um, Having an idea in my head of an army I want to put together, or sometimes it's the town I want to build. Um, I've got I've still got other projects from my orc army that I want to do, and just kind of sitting there thinking about it in my head of like what the end result is going to look like. Motivates me,
Yeah.
and I think um, one of the things I found was just like switching up projects every now and again to keep it from getting stale. I don't like One of the things I don't like is batch painting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like uh,
Yeah.
as I sit here and I've got like 20 battle droids to paint, but I I'm not a big fan of that. I like to give every piece a kind of unique. I like to focus on it and really make it unique, but that doesn't always work with armies. But that is
Right.
really fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always would, because I hate batch painting too. Um, but I always set a goal, like every 10 uh, Space Marines, for example, that I painted, I would then turn around and paint a vehicle
Mhm.
or a character as a reward because I love painting vehicles.
I thought you were
So
about to say for every 10 Space Marines I paint, I get to buy another 10 Space Marines.
I said reward.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's you know what else is a good motivator that I have found? Getting something prepared to paint on Thursday nights for the hobby hang.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just a little extra plug there.
So we have some rapid fire questions for you, real quick.
Okay.
What is your favorite Legion faction?
I'm going to go with CIS right now.
Excellent. Citadel or Army Painter paints?
Army Painter. I'm switching over. I have so many Citadel, and I'm other than Lead Belcher and maybe Bugman's
Mhm.
Glow. I'm not buying anymore.
Crab droids or spider droids?
Spider Droids. The crab droids are a terrible kit. Speaking of terrible kits,
Oh,
yeah, the
really?
legs
Okay.
don't stay on.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
Yeah.
gosh.
Favorite Star Wars movie?
The best one, Empire Strikes Back. My
Okay.
favorite, I think, is Force Awakens.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
And Skeleton Crew might be like my new favorite Star Wars thing.
Oh, I
I have not
loved
finished that yet.
I loved it so much. So good. Last one, Legion or 40K?
Legion's the better game. 40K is the better models. I have to
Fair.
Yes,
pick.
I will agree.
I guess I'll go with
Yeah, no,
Legion for now. 40K is the all-time greatest, but Legion is the most fun to me.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Where can our wonderful listeners find you online?
So I'm on Instagram at SlaaneshGirl, and I also have a podcast that I do with my partner called Gender Rebels, where we discuss all things outside the gender binary.
That's
Excellent
great.
choices. Y'all go check her out.
Well, Faith, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
I'm so glad you came.
Me too.
Yeah, this was so much fun. And if any of our listeners have any questions that they want to submit for our guests, you can message us on Instagram and Facebook, or you can email us at thewardalls@gmail.com.
And don't forget to look for us in other places. And you can just follow us on Instagram and YouTube and the Facebooks and wherever else you can find us. We're under every rock. We are behind every door. You just have to look. So anyway, thank you very much for listening today, and thank you, Faith, for coming on, and always thank you, Steph, my co-host, for being here.
Yes, thanks, Faith, for coming.
Yeah.
Everybody, be kind to yourself. We'll see you next time.
Bye.